Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm going to call tonight's meeting of the Wethersfield Planning and Zoning Commission to order and ask our clerk, Commissioner Homicki, if you would call the roll, please.
Good evening, all. Attorney Hammer.
Here.
Mr. Lambroni.
Here.
I'm here. Mr. Brooklyn.
Here.
Attorney Deane is not. Mr. Drake.
Here.
Mr. Edwards is not. Mr. Giuffredo.
Here.
Attorney Roberts.
Here.
Mr. Orcolini is not. Ms. Laurie.
Here.
Mr. Thompson is not.
Just to, so I believe that gives us 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Is that? Oh, no, not Dave Edwards. He's not here. So eight of us are here, so everybody will be participating. Anna, and I guess, Anna, you're the only alternate here tonight, but welcome to, we're glad that you're here. How's that? First, I want to just on old business, public hearing 2220-25, 1780 Berlin Turnpike, seeking a special permit of the zoning regulations, under the zoning regulations for a master sign plan and sign exception. That matter, we had, the hearing was open. We heard from the applicant, and I believe it's been continued a number of times. There might have been some family stuff going on with the representative of the applicant, and my understanding is they are not here to continue that matter tonight. Is that correct?
Correct.
So, and we're going to continue it to our next meeting, which is it?
December 2nd.
Okay, and I guess you'll check further to see if they're pursuing that application.
I will. I did follow up with them this week, and I haven't heard anything from them, so which is unusual for the company. So I will follow up with them and make sure I'm aware of what they intend to do, and let them know what their what their final extension will be as well.
And did they owe you some additional materials too?
Yeah, this was the one they wanted to provide information on the illumination of the canopy.
Right.
And we just haven't heard from them. I know that they recently, he and his wife recently had a baby. So
Okay.
they have an infant at home, so that could be.
Okay, sure. So if anyone is here or watching this item, public hearing 2220-25, 1780 Berlin Turnpike with the sign special permit application is going to be continued to our meeting on December 2nd, Tuesday, December 2nd, at 7 o'clock here in this room, if you're interested in that application. Next, we have a continued matter. This is not a public hearing matter. Subdivision Application 2222, 1730 Berlin Turnpike, seeking a subdivision for the creation of another building lot at 1730 Berlin Turnpike. And sir, if you could come up and reintroduce yourself for the record with your name and address.
Commissioners, if they want to see a full size of the revised plans, we can spread that out. We only have a few, but we have 11 by 17 as well.
Give it to them.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dan D'Amelio, licensed land surveyor representing the Bongiovanni Group, who prepared this plan. So we were here a couple of weeks ago, and we've got some additional comments from the town, and we've addressed all those. Some notes on the cover page and notes on the plan itself regarding parking and regarding iron pins to be set at the property corners.
Could you just very briefly run through what you added to the plan that we have in front of us tonight, so it's clear to all of us what your revisions were?
Sure. So on the cover sheet, sheet 1, under the parking data, we added the existing parking. So there's no change in the existing parking. Lot 1, there's no proposed parking. There's nothing being reduced for the parking that's on Lot 1. So right now there's striping for 51 spaces, but there is certainly a lot of extra room on the site for unmarked spaces. So they meet the requirement for the required spaces of 58 spaces. So that's added. And then note 7 on sheet 1 was just changed to say that iron pins will be set where monuments are not already present. And I think that's it. The only other thing was on sheet 2, there's a note that's added in the northeast corner of the site, up where the trailer is, just to show the area where there's a room for additional parking to meet the requirements there. So that's the only changes.
Hey, Dave, is there anything else that we could either ask the applicant to do or that you feel still needs to be addressed? I know we need to talk about the easement for the parking, but other than that, is there anything else?
No, there's not. And so those revisions that were made, well, the parking was something we had discussed to be shown, but the town engineer we wanted the note for the pins, and I did include correspondence from the town engineer. The plans that you see were received since our last meeting, and I have an email from Derek Greger, the town engineer, saying they have no further comments. This revised set does include or address all of their comments.
Okay.
The only other thing is there was some discussion, and there was a comment about the filing of an easement for the driveway that's crossing Lot 2. The only comment I have on that is, usually those type of easements are not filed until the lot is sold, and then a deed would be created for that lot. And when the deed is created for that lot, that's when that easement would be defined and put on record. There's no need to do that at this time because the lot is not being recorded as a separate lot in a separate deed until it gets sold.
I think just the filing of an approved subdivision plan showing 2 lots is effectively implementing it as a lot at that time, which is why we wanted to make sure that that agreement was in place if there's going to be a filing of a map that shows 2 lots.
But that would be done when the lot is sold, not at the time of the filing of this plan, because it makes no sense to define the easement at this time if the lot is not sold.
Again, Rich, please weigh in, but to me, it's not a question of when it's sold, it's a question of when you
When it's
create 2
created,
lots,
yeah.
right?
I mean, it may never be sold if you lease Lot 2 to somebody and they build something on it.
So we just want to know that there's not something out there that either A, isn't on the land record, so somebody is not aware of it when they purchase the property, and B, ensuring that the rear parcel, the motel parcel, essentially, can utilize a second access to get in and get out of the site, from a emergency and other traffic flow purpose. So, we talked about making that a requirement, and they would have 90 days to record a subdivision map if we approve the application, and I believe that they can request an extension, I think, for another 90. Is that
Correct.
correct?
290s.
180,
So they can
180 total.
So they can run it to 270. Actually, okay, you can get 2 90-day extensions if you need the time to get that document done. But I think our approach here is to make that a requirement to be done no later than simultaneously with the filing and recording of the map.
Okay.
Any other items?
No, not on this application, no.
Okay, any questions, commission members? Anybody? Okay, anything further from the applicant?
All right, thank you.
That's it from you? Okay. So if everybody is all set on this, we could have a motion, if someone would like to make it.
And
We need to close the meeting?
It's not a public hearing, so
it's
I
not?
think we can go right into it.
Oh, okay. I'll make a motion that we approve application 222-25Z, 1730 Berlin Turnpike-seeking a subdivision in accordance with subsection 143.3 of the subdivision regulation for the creation of another building lot at 1730 Berlin Turnpike. Motion is to accept with one proviso that an easement be filed for, how should we define that?
Wasn't there a note
Yeah,
that
I would-
said it somewhere on here?
Yeah, what's the easiest way to define this? Where was the note?
That notes numbers 1 through 6 be reflected in a,
Actually, I think it's basically saying that, an easement shall be recorded on the land records which provides access over Lot 1 in favor of Lot 2 over the driveway to the Berlin Turnpike. Correct? And I think that should also be submitted in advance of recording on the land records to town staff so that it could be reviewed by the town attorney or whoever we would like to have review it before they actually record it, submit it in draft form. Rich?
No, I agree. I mean, and I think what may make this different than other situations is that one of the lots is fully developed and relies on access over the other one to comply with its site plan. So, it's not just an academic issue like it would be if they were both vacant lots.
Yes, that's a
So I'll
important
second
point.
it.
Second by Rich.
So we're asking for a draft and review, and then to be filed, in accordance with recording of the maps, right?
Correct. So I think,
Okay.
I think the way it would go is the draft is reviewed by the town attorney. Once we know that it's okay, then they can record it simultaneously. But I think Dave will manage that process to make sure that they don't record the subdivision map until they have the easement.
yes, correct.
Okay. And
Okay.
are there were no other staff comments, are there, that we need to
No,
incorporate?
they've all been satisfied with. I would just, if I could make a motion, that we're going to motion to motion to approve the subdivision application, include, as revised, November 17th, 2025, because there were a number of revisions.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine, yeah.
Oh, just,
Right.
right, rather than be specific.
Yeah, those are existing.
That the easements reflected on the notes on page 1 be.
Right, obviously,
properly
any
recorded.
other subdivision notes would be binding and run with the approval, just automatically, I think. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Application is approved. Thank you. Okay, next we have a new public hearing for 1,000 Silas Deane Highway. Before we get started on that, it's a special permit application, and if you're here on this item, just to review our procedure for this, we'll ask the applicant to come up to the podium first, identify themselves, name and address, as well as anyone else who's part of their team who's going to be speaking. There'll be opportunities for the commission members to ask questions. We will then provide an opportunity for any members of the public to make comments, and then the applicant will, typically the applicant will have the last word, but we've already been advised that we are not going to be in a position to close this hearing tonight for a number of reasons. I think design review is pending, and I think there are also some remaining comments and information that town staff is still requiring. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. So the only comments that you have in your packet so far is from the engineering department. I do anticipate comments from the fire marshal, the building official. I'm going to be preparing comments as well as the health district. So there are a number of comments still to be included, and they are coming to the design review committee tomorrow night.
Okay.
Could I ask a question? I mean, I was reading through this, and there's 3 separate memos from the engineering department, the latest, and then the prior one, and the one prior to that. Are all those still open, or some of those are open? I mean, it was confusing to me how much of that has been done. Is that going to be cleared up?
I will, yeah, I apologize for that. If, I thought I only attached the most recent.
Well, that's attached. There's also the other two were attached. Are those,
Oh,
are those complete then?
I will need to reconcile that.
All right, all right.
Well, the most recent memo suggested that they were not.
That's what I'm saying, because it's unclear what's outstanding.
I think I think that our engineering department did get in the habit of doing that where there were multiple similar applications. So, yes, if they are reinforcing of each other, then they would all be part of this application and germane to what we're seeing.
right.
I will confirm that.
And just one other word on the public comment. Please address your comments to the commission, and if it's a question, then we'll make sure that the applicant responds to it when they come back up. But with that said, Attorney Hoops, would you like to start the presentation, I assume? And
Thank you, Commissioners. My name is David Hoops. My office is at 185 Asylum Street in Hartford. I am here tonight on behalf of the applicant, KCH Trading. I'd like to introduce the team who will present. Yanan Wu from Freeman Companies is a landscape architect. She'll talk about the site plan. Simon Zhang is an architect, and he'll talk about the architectural drawings, and that will be our presentation for tonight. We're here seeking a special permit under a new regulation, Section 5.14. It was adopted by you last June, and it was for the purpose of facilitating the adaptive reuse of buildings like the one at 1000 Silas Deane, which are vacant or underutilized buildings that are in your regional commercial zone, which encompasses, as you know, the southern portion of the Silas Deane Highway. The regulation contemplates a category of use that we called warehouse retail. It's worth stressing that despite the word warehouse, we're not talking about a warehouse per se. We call it a warehouse because it encompasses a no-frills concept like a Costco or a BJ's warehouse, but it's a retail use, and it's not any more of a true warehouse than a BJ's warehouse, which isn't really a warehouse. The customers will all be end users. That's what makes it retail, not, and I want to stress, it will not be a distribution center. It will not be a storage facility. It will not be a warehouse per se. It will be a retail use. All of the customers will be end users, and those will be a mix of household consumers and restaurants. And it's that mix that ties into the basic problem that the regulation tries to address, which is that you have the regional commercial zone where the desired use, as the name indicates, is retail, and yet you have, especially on the east side of the Silas Deane, you have some older industrial buildings where the building takes up a large portion of the site, so it's impossible to have enough parking for a typical retail use. So the challenge is to find a retail use that those buildings are suitable for, and a warehouse supermarket, so we've defined it, fits the bill, and the reason it fits the bill is precisely because of the somewhat unusual mix of customers where you have not just household or almost exclusively or primarily necessarily household consumers. You have restaurants, and they will buy in higher volumes, so there'll be less vehicles entering the site per customer. And the other thing that the regulation addresses that we're using is that the regulation permits the owner to declare certain parts of the building reserved for future use. Under the operation of the normal parking rules, you have to count the whole building, and that makes it, that fact in combination with the parking ratios that are in place for more typical retail uses, again, is what makes it really difficult to find a retail use that's appropriate for a building like 1000 Silas Deane, which, as I'm sure everyone's aware, had been unused for about 20 years, and it's being used now somewhat, but it's a more or less derelict, unsightly building. And again, what this regulation does and what this application does is allow it to be used for the kind of use that the town wants in this part of the Silas Deane, so that money can be put into it, so that it can be made attractive. And I would add that there's an extra benefit, which is that the town will have what I think is what is clearly a unique kind of use that's actually kind of interesting. I was in there one day before. It's now not open to the public, but it was for a period of time, and it's very interesting. It's like a BJ's warehouse with pallets of food, almost all Asian food, and even though there's no advertising or signage, at that time there were a number of customers in there that I didn't talk to them, but they clearly were not owners of Asian restaurants, and I think it's a really cool use that I think that if we get approved, you should check it out. So one of the advantages of this particular site is that it abuts property that's owned by Eversource, and it had that abutting portion of the Eversource property had historically been used for additional parking when it was a Weight Watchers food preparation facility. And although we think we have plenty of parking under the current site plan, what that land does is it creates a possibility that if more of the building is used in the future, there could be additional activity there. And if we're wrong about our parking needs, it creates the possibility of a kind of a backup plan for the future. We propose to use about 75,000 square feet of space in the building, which is about 65% of the building. So about 35% of the building will be declared as not used at this time, set aside for future use. The applicant expects, once everything's up and running, no more than about 100 cars a day, which is not a lot for 75,000 square feet. But again, that's the reason I mentioned that you have some restaurant users that will buy in larger volumes, so you have less trips, and some of them will have their groceries delivered to them by trucks that the owner uses, which also reduces the parking. We're proposing 88 spaces, which we believe will be more than sufficient. And with respect to another point, with respect to parking, thank you.
Mr. Hoops, you can disregard that. That's, we have open doors after hours, so,
Could
you
you,
know,
could you
people are
please,
able to come in and leave as they please.
Okay,
I don't think
understood.
that's relevant to the application.
No, I was wondering. I appreciate the explanation.
could you please repeat the 35%? You gave the percentages of the part of the building that would be
Yeah,
used and not used.
So the building, including both floors, has about 115,000 square feet of floor space, and we're using about 75,000. So I did the math, and I think that's 65% of the floor space.
And that requires how many parking
And that requires, under the new regulation, that requires 78 spaces, and we're providing 88, which is about 10 more than what the ratio, which is the minimum ratio would require.
And if you were to utilize, in the future, seek to utilize more of the building, then you'd have to find or create the parking necessary to support it.
We'd have to lease some space, we'd have to lease the land from Eversource, which was done in the past. It's paved. The reason it was paved is Weight Watchers used it.
Okay.
And I'm quite sure that they would have had a lease with Eversource to do that.
So the 88 spaces are all contained within your boundaries and none of it is Eversource?
Correct. So the Eversource is really a plus. It's a plan B if we need more parking someday.
Okay.
So it's a nice plus to have. We've submitted a drainage report that indicates that the water quality will be improved, the stormwater management will be improved in both cases to bring them up to current standards. This is an old building, and it was not at current standards.
Amen. Shalom. Bye. Bless you.
So our landscape architect, and I don't want to repeat what she'll say, but she'll explain how the appearance of the site will be improved. There'll be some fairly robust landscaping added to the site. The access drives and the parking areas will be repaved. The entire site will be cleaned up. And the architect, in a few minutes, will explain what's being done to the exterior. There will be, at minimum, power washing and painting, and the front will have new facades, and he'll go through all that. We have received engineering comments, as Mr. Elder mentioned. It is my understanding that the most recent memo encompasses all of the comments. There was an initial submission that was less complete than the final submission, and I think that the memo before the most final memo was kind of reacting to that, but my understanding is that the final memo encompasses all of the engineering comments. All of those, we've gone through them. The project engineer, we're happy to address. We can readily address them, and it's our hope to be able to do that pretty quickly and get those revisions in time for the engineering staff to review, hopefully, so that we can be back in front of you on December 2nd.
I think we have a quick question.
If you're able to hear us then.
You just mentioned that you think that the engineering memo latest is final. I think he says right in the memo that this is preliminary.
Oh, I didn't mean final, I meant it encompasses, there was a reference to the earlier memos
Right.
that related to earlier plans that was actually done by a different engineer, and under a completely different theory of how we were going to comply with parking. I don't think any of those other comments are applicable, except to the extent that you find them in the most recent memo. So my point is, I don't think you have to go through all the old memos. I think all the comments that engineering has now, and they did say that they're going to do further review and they might have more, and I didn't mean to suggest otherwise, that I don't think you have to go through all the old memos because they relate to older plans that don't really have a lot to do with this plan. So it was done by a different engineer, different plan.
And I see that the town engineer in his most recent memo indicated that he'd like to see any additional materials that you're submitting not less than 10 days prior to the hearing date so that he has adequate time to review. So just want you to keep that in mind.
Yeah, and we're very aware of that. And I spoke with the project engineer, Tristan Wallace from Freeman yesterday, and he promised that he would get them in that time frame.
Okay.
And I mean, there is a holiday in between, and if staff doesn't have enough time, I understand that.
Yep.
maybe we'll be back on the 16th rather
Okay.
than the 2nd.
Sure, we'll,
But we're trying to do the 2nd. I
Okay.
understand you might have a busy agenda on the 2nd, so maybe
Yes.
the 16th works better anyway.
Okay.
But whatever, if you'd rather hear us on the 16th, even if we get everything in, obviously.
thank you, appreciate that, and our staff will work with you.
Right.
One final question, you may have submitted this, but it wasn't, at least in the materials that I received last week by email. I did not see any interior floor plans in the materials that I received. I don't know that anybody else did either.
Oh, well.
Were those submitted as part of the
we
application?
submitted, all the floor plans were submitted, right? Well, but they were submitted as part of Freeman's package, were they not? Yeah. Yeah. So maybe Mr. Elder could clarify that, but and we'll be putting them up on the screen. By the way, could we have the screen, please, Dave?
Is this someone's backpack and jacket? Okay, just.
Oh, I'm sorry, thank you.
No. I appreciate everyone's patience. We might have a few disturbances, but we'll roll with it. Change what we would otherwise do. Have some guests.
Oh, crazy one. Yeah.
Well, we put your first page up, just kind of a test, and then we'll turn it over to you, Nan. How's that?
Nothing.
I'm not getting
Is it working?
Pretty much. Maybe only like up to there. It's harder to use the parking in the back.
Are you projecting it? I thought it's automatic.
HDMI, the HDMI port for me.
Yeah, this is HDMI. And once that thing is warmed up, I believe it will product. How is this? Notes. Is it duplicating or is it actually?
I don't think that's a chain link. That was lines of occupation. We can ask.
Yeah, do it.
I have multiple sets.
You know, this 75,000 would be like wide and how.
Why? How do we? Showing up by itself.
I'm gonna look. We've had a couple of different submissions, Peter, honestly.
No, but I can email it to you.
Can you ever pick the name of this place?
Yeah, it takes a few minutes if they don't mind. I do not have a thumb drive. Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah, we're gonna get a
Two on a scale of 10 right now.
So what are we doing now?
I think we're just waiting to get the
NQ.
technology up. Which is good, because we're gonna just have some crowd control in a minute anyway. So.
Yeah, let's try this computer. It might work.
We do split.
More. Thank you. Oh, the sun.
What are these gummies? TBD.
I need more now.
Thank you.
For sure.
We had 110 kids.
We get two napkins.
That as far as Peter, and that was it? Is that- Are you doing okay with it? I assume.
Sort of unrelated question. So when you were,
I know, they're all engineers.
that lady, said that they didn't do architectural drawings.
Joe, we'll be passing tonight.
We can show, we should go through.
Yeah.
You have them before.
Yeah.
We should, for the record, enter them.
Yeah, this one works.
Great. It's working there.
But I think you still work on yours. I can start with mine.
Member of the Board of Accrediting.
Where the fire was.
这里有我发你的那个东西。
有的，但是我不知道显示效果是什么样的。
没关系，它就是个 PDF。
那我以后可能要再下载。
No, it just seems like a waste of whatever.
Yeah.
So, hi everyone. Good evening. Thanks for your patience. Sorry for this technical waiting. So my name is Yana Wu. I'm the lead landscape designer from Freeman Companies. So our office is located at 33 Jonesville, City of Hartford, Connecticut. So thanks for your patience, and we appreciate this opportunity to introduce our design. Thank you. As Mr. Hoops mentioned, we actually took over the overall site design from the previous engineer company. So we like to introduce the overall idea and the major improvements. Also, we received the additional comments actually last week, and we are still addressing the comments there. But the overall plan and the key features remain consistent. So I'm just gonna introduce the idea with this set. This is a set we shared at the end of October. So I'd like to walk you through some of the major improvements here.
If I may, just so I know the applicant, there have been partial applications submitted in the past, but this will be the first time that the commission and myself have reviewed have been able to see the entire site plan. So don't feel like you need to go fast. This is the first time that it's made it all the way to the commission as an application. So please, by all means, take your time.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you. For tonight, we didn't really bring the full package. We're just gonna show the 3 sheets from the full package showing the key improvements. And here, this page is the layout page. From here, we're gonna introduce the proposed circulation improvement. Our goal here for this site is to provide a clear and functional circulation pattern for all the users. So for this site, we actually proposing new entrance for any vehicles getting to the site. One is located on the north side as a one-way entrance, and the other is located at the south with two-way traffic. The one-way north entrance helps in the purpose for here is to help to reduce and prevent any potential traffic conflict from this north property, since our property and the north property is actually sharing this driveway at the moment. And for any future users, they can freely get into the site from either ending, from either driveway. And then the most users supposedly to parking at the front parking or the rear parking area. And for the peak hours, we also providing these additional options along the north side and south side. As you might notice, this site has very limited space. So with our efforts, currently we can provide 88 parking spots. So for the delivery trucks, they will enter from the south driveway and keep using the current loading zone at the southwest corner of the building. The same thing, keep using the current loading ramp and loading docks inside of the building. So for the pedestrians, actually the walkway is directly connected to the city sidewalk, which is along the Silas Deane Highway. So people will be led from the sidewalk into the site. We also are proposing a striped crossing walk at the front parking, just to ensure a safe route to bring people to the front door. Also, near the front main entrance, we propose all the accessible parking spots here to ensure a shortest and direct route to the front doors. So overall, with this layout, the goal is to help keep everyone moving safely while make the best use of the current site space. So,
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
For your north side entrance, that's entrance only? There's no outlet there, right?
yes, this is a.
How are you going to control that? And if it's adjacent to the other one, how do you make that happen? You're going to have signage? How will people know that
Oh, yeah.
it's in only?
Okay, thanks. We also proposing the do not entry signs to indicate all the traffic direction. Here we're gonna have one just as here to prevent any traffic from the other side, the misusing.
Can I
And-
ask a question too?
Yeah, sure, please.
Are you proposing a chain link fence around the whole building? Including the front?
You mean the building or the?
Chain link fence.
When you're talking about the front, are you referring to the west side, to the Silas Deane Highway? Which side are you talking
The
about?
whole thing. I see notes here, a little tough to read there, that says chain link fence. So is there one going around the whole building or just the three sides? Or no chain link fence? Maybe it's only the construction.
So the chain link fence, there's already chain link fence existing on the north side. We are not proposing anything along the front side of the site, which is facing to the Silas Deane Highway, and we are not proposing any chain link fence to this east side, which is adjacent to the Eversource land. I believe there are existing chain link fence along the.
No, it's all right, just gotta,
Sorry, is that the same question?
Sorry.
Yeah. So we are not proposing any additional chain link fence to the site. It will keep open to the Silas Deane Highway.
Please continue.
Okay, thank you. So here we just show all these hardscape improvements, and from next page we're gonna show the landscape improvements.
Actually, so I have one more question. One of the engineering comments was specifically about the width of the accessible parking spaces in the front.
Yes.
Is the other drawing, does the other drawing indicate the 10-foot width that's required? Because the ones that we were given have, like, it's kind of overlapping, but it looks like it says 8 feet.
Oh, yes, that is one of the comments we're still working on. We're gonna adjust that dimension to the suggested, I think that's 10 feet suggested in the comments. Am I correct?
Yeah, so how does that, and also how does that additional especially along the front there, does that affect the total number of parking spaces and required width of all those parking spaces?
To be honest, I don't think so. Since we still have some room along this side, we can, potentially, I think we can fit into that space, first of all. Because we're providing additional, this loading aisle width here, we can balance that dimension from here. And otherwise, we still have some space to the north side, which won't interrupt the overall contents of the parking spots. And if there's no more question, I'm going to move to the landscape improvements. So in this page, we just want to show our full set of landscape upgrade. So along the street facing side of the building, we're proposing a mixture planting stripe of the decorative shrubs and the evergreen plants. So this will provide the colors and the seasonal interest. And even in the winter, there are still gonna be some greenish remaining there. And on the north and south side of the property lines, maybe also we can tie back to the previous chain link fence question. We're proposing a more evergreen trees along the property line as a soft screening approach to separate these different property users. And to the east side, along the public sidewalk, we are adding flowering shrub and decorative trees to create a more welcoming streetscape. And overall in this site, we know it has very limited space. We're still trying to create more green pockets and like the south of the building and the planting stripes whenever it's possible. So currently the site is almost entirely paved, but we are introducing landscape islands between the parking spots, following the town zoning code requirements. And this will also with tree canopies, which will offer shade and provide comfort to the users. So all these landscape additionals is not only improve the appearance, but also help to increase the permeable area and will help the overall runoff treatment. For this case, after all these site improvements, we are not increasing any impervious surface. Actually, we are reducing that number slightly, even a minor number. So we consider that's a site overall improvement. If there's no more question, I'm going to move to the next page.
I'm sorry to go back but on the engineering comments, it says provide on the plans an access agreement on the property owner on 974, 990 Silas Deane. I think that's the north side. So that whole area confuses me. Do you have to have an agreement for this design to work?
We've discussed that, and Mr. Wallace, the civil engineer, is going to contact engineering staff about that. The curb cut is primarily on the applicant's property. The only one that actually needs an access agreement is the neighbor to the north.
Okay.
If you look at where the property line is, and considering that it's entrance only, it would geometrically basically be next to impossible to pull into that site and trespass on any portion of the neighbor's property. The curb cut, again, is almost, I don't want to say almost entirely, but it's
Right, so
probably 2/3 to 3/4 on
for
our
that
property.
For that northern property, cars will be coming in on your curb cut.
Right.
Are they going to be exiting on your curb
No,
cut?
you can't exit from that curb cut.
Where are those cars going to exit?
They're going to, if they're trucks, they'll go around to the back and come out of the south, well, they'll all exit on the south side. But if you're coming in, if you're...
I'm talking about your neighbor on the north. Because he's going to come through the curb cut to get to his property, and then how's he going to come out of his property if he came in through that portion there?
Right now, that's set up, the way his spaces are striped, they're angled spaces, and they're angled for entrance only. It's not signed that way, but
All right.
that property is set up so that the circulation is that you enter on the south and then you exit on the north.
Yeah, I think you're going to have to clearly identify what's going on there, and the engineer asks for that, because he's confused as well
Yeah.
on what's going on that north entrance there.
Well, the neighbor on the north needs, well, first place, these are all existing conditions that have been there for way past the prescriptive period, meaning that, the rights are established. So I don't know that he actually needs an access agreement from us, because he's been using our property, I'm sure, for more than 15 years. But he's the one that's got the issue, not us. That's the only point I'm making. And we're more than happy to work with him about this cooperatively, but he shouldn't have any, as a matter of fact, the reason that we have that entrance only, and this was at town staff's request, is precisely because the way the neighbor to the north has his diagonal parking spaces striped. It's set up so that those cars, so that it's basically an entrance-only driveway for that property owner. So we didn't want to have traffic that on our site that conflicted with the traffic on his site entering from the Silas Deane Highway. That's the reason that we made that an entrance only, so that the traffic going into both sites are going to be entering only. The striping of the neighbor's spots doesn't show on the plans, but they're diagonal, set up so that you wouldn't be able to use them if you were coming from the other, in other words, if you were coming from the interior of the site. So I think it works.
Okay, thanks.
Maybe you could just highlight that and show everybody where the property line is. And it just demonstrates that it really would be next to impossible for a truck or car entering our site to trespass on the neighbor's property.
Just out of curiosity, are you aware of any written agreement with that other property owner? For example, is there a chance that, or have you spoken to them, or do you have anything just to sort of understand, like, would they potentially have a different opinion of that access?
We will speak to them. I don't, there's no recorded agreement on the land records, which is really the only agreement that would matter. But we will reach out. We have no reason not to want to work with that neighbor.
Yeah, I'm just curious, mostly I'm also curious just if, have they seen your survey to just to compare and potentially?
We will
Yeah.
reach out.
So for the following, I'm going to show the last plan regarding the stormwater and runoff management. So with this drainage plan, we are not increasing any, as I mentioned before, we are not increasing any impervious area. And we also maintaining the existing drainage flow and pattern, which is naturally higher on along the Silas Deane Highway and goes down to the east side. So our approach going to be collect all the waters from the front parking and run along the north and south side, and going through the water treatment units, and then discharge with this pipe to the same location as the current situation. For the roof drain, we will still using the existing locations, including this pipeline, as this existing utility is like underneath the building, and following that, and we to avoid any excavation will be the best for the site to minimize the disturbance. And other than those approaches, we also proposed all the parking spots at the east side with the permeable surface material, which gonna help to control the runoff and avoiding the water ponding along the property line. So that's our overall strategies and improvements to the site. We also read into the engineer comments. We're gonna provide other sheets as the suggested, but that won't make any major changes to all these details we are displaying tonight.
So, I'm sorry, what you're showing there is existing, or is that all new?
Those are the proposed.
That's all new construction that you're showing, right?
We are following the existing pattern, but we're upgrading all these pipes. As the property is kind of old, so we're proposing some drainage improvements.
So you're going to be replacing the pipes?
Yes, correct.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure, please.
Is that your property line on the right, going at the angle? The property
Yes,
line?
correct.
Where, isn't there like a chlorine chiller, all kinds of stuff in the back that's on the same property? Is that on someone else's property?
Beyond this property line is actually belong to the Eversource.
So the Weight Watchers people had equipment on Eversource? Or,
You mean?
so where is the big, there's a big chlorine chiller back there. Where is that located on your lot? I assume it's going to go away, but I'm just trying to get some sense of, I haven't spent much time there, but just,
From the old factory?
yeah, there's a big chlorine chiller on the back corner. Is that way back here or is it over here?
I think you're referring to this part. Yeah, is this?
It's not all the way in the back? I thought it was all the way in the
No,
back.
no, it's
Okay.
it's attached to the building. It's
Okay.
yeah,
I
it used to
pictured
be
that one.
manufacturing ice cream. That's the machine you were
Let
mentioning.
me ask one question based on what Peter mentioned. Was it the entrance at the top, the north side, north level? Why do you even need that? Why are you concerned about that? You don't even need it, do you? Just close it.
It's going to be difficult
What?
with the neighbor like that. It's going to be
Why is
difficult.
it difficult? Just close it. Just use the
Well, the
lower-
neighbor needs
It's the main access for the property.
For the neighbor.
I assume that's his problem, not his problem. I don't know, I'm just saying, you're worried about the size of everything else, so that's his
We're
problem.
waiting for the fire marshal's report. I would
Yeah,
be
I
surprised
agree with
if
you
they
there.
would
Yeah,
request.
maybe,
Yeah.
yeah.
So just for the drainage report, I'm also curious about that. I think I read the pipe is about a foot in diameter now, you're increasing it to 2 feet.
Yes, I believe that's only for this discharge, for this discharging pipe.
Okay, so is that area not on your that drains off onto the other Eversource property? That's the
That's the
Eversource
current
property?
condition. It's
Oh.
being working like that.
Right, but I mean, to be able to access it, like, you've already contacted Eversource about?
Yeah,
okay.
we are reaching out for their easement.
Yeah, and again, that's been an existing condition for decades, so we would have prescriptive rights, as you would call it, but yeah, we are reaching out to Eversource, make sure that they shouldn't have any issues with it, because it's been there forever, but we want to make contact with them anyway.
Yeah, we've been reaching
For a
out.
number of reasons,
Yeah.
including the possibility of future parking back there.
And does that change anything about the disturbed area for the drainage?
Not really. We're just gonna excavate on top of this drainage. It's about 5 feet wide width of the channel, and then put a new pipe in there and then cover it, and either repave or just per Eversource requirement.
I had a question also on the stormwater report. When I looked at it, I know that it says you're going to be putting in some treatment that doesn't exist now, and I think on the numbers that I looked at, there was a very slight, maybe decrease in flows, and the report concludes by saying it'll better the existing conditions, but my question is, I don't know off the top of my head if our site plan or other town standards have a specific numerical standard, such as retaining the X year storm event or not increasing, something quantifiable basically. And the report didn't reference our standards. So if there are standards that are relevant, I'm just throwing out there whether you're meeting them, because it wasn't evident from the report on that subject.
Unfortunately, Tristan Wallace, he's the civil engineer, he couldn't be here tonight, and I think he'll be able to be there, whether it's the 2nd or the 16th, at the next meeting. But I know that he told me that his plan complies with the current town standards, how much I can report. Whether that's a 50-year flood, a 100-year flood, I'm not sure what the town standard is, and
We
maybe
can add
maybe
that.
Ms. Wu can address that.
We can we can add that comparison to the next updated stormwater report to make sure that is noted with the comparison.
Take over. Take a copy of it. Can I just use it? Yeah, you can. Click on Shift and scroll down this next page. Okay, thanks. Good evening, everyone. My name is Simon Zhang. I'm the architect for this job. Our office is located at 29 Broadway in New York City. Let me introducing the approach we are taking to basically beautify this property and make it look more proper for future commercial use. Let me show you the existing condition. Oops, what is, hold on, what is next page? I need your help. Go down to the next side. Here. Control. Okay. Oh, okay, thanks. Thanks. Okay, this is a satellite photo of the existing of the property. On the right is a huge walk-in chiller.
Excuse me, could you try to get a little bit closer to the microphone? It's a
okay.
little hard to hear you.
Okay, thank you. How about now? Is it better? Okay. Yeah, on the right is a huge walk-in chiller, and where the cursor is an existing, no, it used to be old offices for this food factory. And beyond this, these are the warehouse structure, which is metal trusses. And this might be the huge chiller machine that you were mentioning, which is abandoned now. And this part also is it was added after the main body of this whole building was built back in 1950s, and this one was back in 1980s, I believe. Next page, we'll see the street view, which shows the abandoned old offices. And what we're doing is to utilize the existing structure of the building, but give it new facade with new functions in the building, so it helps my client to control the construction cost, but also bring brand new facade, lighting effect, and elevations to the city. We're going to skip all of this because these were prepared for my previous presenter. Okay, here. This is the existing plan where you can see all the old offices and a vacant part in here. The walk-in cooler. Okay, thank you. And here is the receiving part of this property, and this is abandoned chiller. On the lower level, again, they are abandoned empty spaces, the old amenities for the employees of this food factory. Yeah, that's pretty much it. We're in a very bad shape. And these are the demolitions that we are showing. Let's just go all the way to the new plan. Yeah, the shadowed part of the building are closed for future use, depending on how future it is, but it might be closed permanently because of A, they are in very bad condition, B, to be compliant to the zoning regulations, we are not opening up these spaces. And this part is the main wholesale and retail spaces like the Costco.
Sales floor.
Right. Yeah, the sales floor. This is the sales floor like Costco. And this is the entry, the main entry. On the back, there's another entry because customers may come from the front and from the back. So we have more sales area here. Customer can check out from the front or from the back. They are going to have very big carts in here and at the back too. Also, there is a ramp to let customer on the back to come without any hardship. These are the existing walk-in cooler and freezer which are working right now. And on the lower level, again, the shadowed area are closed, and these are mostly for the inventory storage. They're not for the sales floor. So the sales are happening on the upper level. The lower level are inventory storage. And yeah, the elevation, we're replacing the brick facade of the old offices with glass, and we're giving it colorful aluminum panel, glass lantern to highlight the function and aesthetic value of this property. The brick facade of this huge walk-in cooler, because it looks pretty nice, we continue to use it as part of the composition. And on the back and the side, we're cleaning up the facade and we're painting it with new colors, so the whole building will have warmer tone to highlight the function of this building because it's mostly relevant to food. And this is the back, so we're painting it with new color. The existing metal panel will be cleaned and painted, so they're not going to be replaced to help control the cost of the job. Do you have any questions so far?
I had a question. And I know that there is a structural report that was part of the application, but on the floor plans there, just if you could pause there. So on the closed for future use, has there been any conversation, and maybe we'll talk about this as the public hearing goes on, but are there portions of the building that seem like they should be demolished or discontinued or decommissioned? I know that the building has over time added on to and it's gotten larger, but has that been looked at? And I just asked the question because I know, for as much as I do know about the property, there have been times where some of the space you may not need, and so there may be expenses to bringing those sections of the building up to code for both fire and building code. But as part of the structural analysis, and I apologize if it's in here and my question's already been answered, but has there been a discussion about potentially demolishing some portions of the building?
Ken, do you want to comment before I answer? Okay, so I'm helping him to translate. From the owner's perspective, they are not planning to demolish any part of the building because it's structurally sound. And when I was inspecting the building, where it's shadowed, it's on here on the north of the building, it's a solid brick construction, and on this part, it's steel beam and columns, so it's very solid. But the surface of the of this enclosure is bad, so we're going to refresh this. From an architect's perspective, I don't think any part of the building should be demolished for safety. Also, we'll make sure that the structural engineer we'll inspect every corner of the building so it doesn't cause any future problem. I think when our structural engineer was doing the inspection, he visited every corner of the building, right? Yeah, our structural engineer, when he was doing the report, he checked all the part of the building.
Can you show the front where you're replacing all the windows there?
Yep.
On this plan, so it's that whole side there, right?
Yeah.
Right
here.
there, that's all gonna be brand-new windows, you're saying, right?
Yeah, if we zoom in closer, we keep the brick columns which are existing. So we're inserting storefronts between the brick columns.
Okay, so, yeah, I understand. So you're keeping the structure, but you're placing windows in between the structure?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Any other questions?
If you zoom out just a little bit, I'm curious to, can you zoom out to the whole plan? Thank you. So you have, I'm looking at the plan and it looks like in order for the calculation to work on parking, almost half the parking is in the rear. The conceptual drawings show the front, but not any other detail about the rear entrance, and it looks like with about half of the parking in the back, customers will be walking through the floor that is currently marked on this plan as inventory storage, not sales floor. So I guess I just am curious about how we define what's sales floor versus inventory storage for the ratio of parking on this, because that makes kind of a big difference. And then I think on the bottom of this, I noticed, since I don't think we got these in our packets for tonight, but on the bottom, it mentioned around 38,000 and change sales floor and 14,000 and, change inventory storage. But earlier you had mentioned 75,000 square feet would be used.
That's because that includes the basement. Yeah, we are looking at the upper level now, and if we go down, this is the lower level. Together, they're about 75,000 square feet.
And what's the basement used for?
Inventory storage.
Okay, and how many square feet is that?
Boy, I have to look up the number.
And to answer your other question, anything that's not inventory storage, in other words, hallways, office areas, we count it as sales floor for purpose of the ratio.
Yes. Low level.
14,
Yeah.
I have 20,704.
Yes. Thank you.
So there's inventory storage on the top level of 14,831, on the lower level of 20,704, for a total of 35,535.
Yeah, and to answer your first question, if customer come from the rear, the customers get used to this property after they come a couple of times. If they drive to the back during peak hours, they will see a big ramp and a signage welcoming the customer to come from here instead of other entrances that are pretty much closed. They don't have access to.
Simon, do you mind, and I apologize if you already said this and I didn't pay close enough attention, but would you mind, and it's up to the commission, if you don't have to do it just for my benefit, but I would be curious if you could just walk us through floor by floor how each floor is going to be used?
Oh, sure.
From the perspective of the user, and again, if the commission's interested in that, it might be worthwhile. If not,
Sure.
Yeah, let's see. I don't have the site plan on this presentation, but yeah, where the cursor is, that's the Silas Deane Highway side. So imagine customer drive in through the openings here, then they will see the entrances here, which is cantilevered canopy around here. Then they come in. This is there is a automatic door here.
and currently, well, I understand the primary entrance is in the rear of the building.
Visually and functionally, the primary entrance will be here, but there was a discussion within our team that we do not want customer to walk a long way from the parking lot to the front entrance. That's why we created a rear entrance. Yeah. And when they enter the entry hallway, they will have access to the carts. Then they push the carts in between these huge shelves. Then they pick up what they want to buy, then they check out. They can either check out from the front, or they can check out from the rear and leave from the back. So it's open on both ends. And these are the bathrooms for the customer, the janitor, the employee bathroom, and there are existing stairs here and here that's leading to the lower level of the building.
Does the rear entrance have stairs? Is that what it's saying there?
Yeah, there is a stair and there's a ramp.
Okay.
And that rear entrance is also where trucks will be pulling in and out, potentially?
Is that right? Yeah, it's somewhere here.
So I guess I'm also just thinking a little bit about pedestrian safety with trucks potentially pulling in and out, backing in, cars. This area has two-way traffic up through there, trucks coming a different way. Thinking about sort of what other safety features or sort of traffic calming measures there might be in there.
Yeah, when we were actually we discussed about this, and Ken, the owner, he said the hours for the truck loading will be different from the customer opening, so they are not going to meet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry to interrupt. Just confirm with the owner, the truck will arrive and leave before the opening hours. So there won't be simultaneously happening.
Thanks. Any other question before we look at the renderings? Yes, please.
Where it says retail, right at the very top, where it says right now, it says retail racks. Nope, right.
Here?
Nope.
Dry storage with.
Yeah, just below that. Just below the two dry, yes, that area where your cursor is.
Here.
Is that also going to be a retail area for consumers, for customers? Or is that going to be more storage area?
If you come from this area, you will be able to walk into here and all the way to here. Yeah. And it's hard to see, but we hatched the retail area differently from the storage area, and we made calculation differently.
And the inventory storage a customer could not walk into, is that correct?
That's right.
Attorney Hoops, before I forget, I just wanted to mention to you, I'm having a little bit of trouble following some of the different numbers on the parking space calculation. I think it's sheet G002 where it appears to have the calculation for the full building, and it has 25,000 retail and then 32,000 storage, but it adds it up as 139 spaces being required, and I know you had talked about 78 spaces being required, and I guess the other thing I will point out to you is on the sheet A-201, which is the upper level proposed plan, that references a retail area of 39,000 square feet, which is far in excess of the overall 25,000 square feet that's shown on the overall parking calculation.
The first table you mentioned, that's a mistake, and we'll correct it in revised plans. That's a carryover that we didn't catch from the original plan, and that's applying the parking ratios that would apply if we didn't have the new regulation.
So what's the total retail area and the total warehouse breakdown again?
So the total sales floor area is 39,028.
Yeah, so,
That's all on the
I
top
guess-
floor.
but if you do that at 5 spaces per 1,000 square feet of gross floor area, if that's the standard, which you reference on that first
Right.
sheet, isn't that going to require like 175
Right,
spaces for
and
your
that
retail?
was, that was the parking ratio that would apply in the absence of this regulation.
Oh, that's the normal
Yeah.
retail?
So
Okay,
the new ratio in this regulation is 1.75 spaces for every 1,000 feet. So I did that math, so that's 69 required spaces.
okay,
Then for inventory storage, it's 0.5 for every 2,000.
Okay.
And if you do that math based on 35,535,
Yeah.
that's 8.8, and you round it up to 9. So you have 69 and 9 is 78.
okay. So you'll revise all
Yeah,
that
we
so it's
we
clear?
need to have that table. There is a parking count that's shown, but it doesn't actually show you the math, and we'll fix that. That was my mistake for not catching that.
And I guess, ultimately, I think it's also important on the, this says close for future use in those few areas, just throwing out there whether there should be a square foot figure for all those areas as some kind of a baseline so that we know what the overall building is, and then we can break out the
So
areas that you are going to be actively using with the parking and the areas that,
we'll pull all that in the table. Using rough numbers, the total square footage is about 115,000, and we're using about 75,000.
right,
So that means there's about 40,000 that's reserved, if I did the math right.
okay, and
Yeah,
I
that would be 40,000 reserved for future use.
I think we talked with you about this during the text amendment, but, we talked about how if the day came when you wanted to activate the areas that are sort of off the grid right now, in addition to needing to demonstrate that you meet the parking requirement, I think that would require a reopening of the special permit
Right.
to expand the use.
Absolutely.
Okay, and then one final question for you is, I'm not sure if it's required under our special permit regulations, but were you planning, any kind of a traffic study just to show us, it's been a while since the site was used for the former use. I don't know how that compares to what you'll be doing, but, or if that's anything the town
So
engineer has raised.
Honestly, for reasons of cost, we did not, and practicality, we did not do a traffic study. My thought was that it's a state highway. If you're using over 100,000 square feet, you need a major traffic generator permit from the state. So without suggesting that it's not within the town's jurisdiction, it's also in the state's jurisdiction. The state doesn't require anything, and we're estimating about 100 cars a day, which is really a drop in the bucket. The Silas Deane has a lot of traffic, and the retail centers, the two major ones, just overwhelm those numbers, and I don't think 100 cars a day is going to create any issues. I mean, if there's an issue, there's two issues. One would be parking, and we think we have sufficient parking, and if we don't, we have the Eversource property as kind of a backup. But as far as, traffic on the Silas Deane, again, I don't think 100 cars, and by the way, I didn't mention this, but that 100 or so cars are spread out throughout the day, and the owner tells me that the highest concentration is in the middle of the day, in other words, not during the peak hours. So
it didn't seem like a traffic study was really warranted. And that was the thinking.
I did not, I don't think this was in the application, but I think it would be helpful and important to have some kind of a narrative summary of operations, days of the week, hours of the day, typical number of employees on site at any particular time, so we have also a benchmark baseline for going forward and also understanding how it's going to work. And if you want to, as part of that, you can
I'll
certainly,
definitely prepare a written narrative and submit it as part of our.
kind of a statement of use, which, some towns call it a statement of use as part of it.
Sure.
And, that would give you also an opportunity, if you want to talk about how you think the prime customer times are off traffic peak, you'd have an opportunity to do that as well.
Believe that the hours of operation are 9 to 7, 7 days a week. And I'll put that in the statement.
Thank you. That would be helpful to have a
Sure.
narrative.
You may also want to add to that how the truck traffic is going to be different times than customer traffic, right?
Right.
Yeah, and as well as the, typical size of the delivery trucks, whether they're trailer trucks versus, box trucks or vans.
Those are box trucks, and those will be used not during the hours of 9 to 7. Is that right? But some of your customers have trucks. Small trucks.
If I could, I was going to suggest, and just to remind the commission, because I know some of the staff are aware of this too, is that a site plan does allow, not just a special permit, but a site plan does allow the commission to request additional information. So while a traffic impact study is not required, the commission could ask for some sort of a traffic schedule or volume. I made that word up of just, what hours of operation. We heard that the trucks are going to be there before the general passenger vehicles. And it sounds like what I'm hearing from the commission, that would be beneficial to understand how the site operates in terms of vehicular traffic in and out, volume, size of vehicles, something less, significantly less than a traffic impact study, but enough to understand how it operates.
Absolutely.
From a vehicular loading and unloading. And also how people are, one of the things I know I was aware of from prior applications, it's going to be used in different fashions, right? So you may have a box truck there who's loading on pallets, I presume. I'm not sure, but there might be pallets or maybe not. But then you might have someone who's retail shopping with a cart or baskets and bags. So are there conflicts between those two uses that you would want to minimize in your design so you don't, just to be aware, that kind of information. I think a statement of use is what I'm used to seeing, but how does it operate in a practical, functional way?
Sure.
Just to be clear, when you say box trucks, that means you're going to exclude any tractor trailers from coming to this site. Is that what you mean?
So you do get deliveries outside of regular hours. In the box trucks are your trucks, right? That's what you use for delivery. But when you're talking about trucks outside of the hours of 9 to 7, you're talking about how you get your deliveries. And those are tractor trailers. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Before 9.
Otherwise.
And again, if you could give us an idea of how many tractor trailer trucks, either on a typical week or a typical day, that would be helpful as part of that summary.
I think just describe all that. So,
Right.
so it's clear what you mean by the various trucks, when they're in, when they're not in, so we understand all that.
It would be, for me, it would be helpful even, something that, maybe not days of the week, but hours of the day on one side of a table, size of vehicle, expected, volume. And then when you say sort of your box, so when you say your box trucks, how big are those trucks? 10 feet, 25?
16, 18 foot.
Okay. And those are your trucks that are stored on site?
Only 2 of them still on site.
Where in the site plan would the trucks be stored, and how many parking spaces does that take up?
It's a final loading.
We'll explain that.
If I could, just for the record, to make sure we captured, if you are going to speak or address a question, if you could either please come to the podium or answer through someone who's already at the podium, just so we can capture it. And also, I would also suggest you don't need to provide it's great if you can provide these answers, I'm not saying not to, but if you would like to propose and give us something in writing about how this site operates, I know I would be happy to look at that rather than to sort of propose them one.
We'll put it all
one-offs.
together in writing,
Oh.
Ken.
I still have, I think, when you mentioned that we adjusted it for this use potentially from 5 to 1.75, that means that the parking in the rear is incredibly essential to the retail space based on what we would normally consider that usage. So I think, at least I would feel a lot better if there were like very clear delineations on the rear entrance and how that will be set up and where customers are allowed to come in. Because if they aren't allowed to use that rear entrance because that's being classified as inventory storage, then almost half of the parking being in the rear means that by our calculations, retail customers need that for us to even, I mean, we're talking about more than 3 spaces per 1,000 square feet that we're kind of adjusting normally for that use. And so that rear parking is very important. So how are customers safely getting in there? And how are they getting through what you have on that site plan as inventory storage?
So they're definitely allowed to use, that's what the rear entrance is for. It's for the customers. There'll be stairs and a ramp, and the floor plan is designed so that you're not walking through inventory storage, you're going through a hallway, and there is a separate checkout area for the rear entrance for the people who are parked there.
And is that area all counted towards your retail area?
And that's all, we all consider that floor, sales floor area.
Okay.
Anything that's not inventory storage, whether it's the restrooms, the offices, the hallways, that's all considered sales floor area.
So the parking in the northeast corner of that lot that's not close to that entrance, how are people getting, is there a planned walkway? I don't really see anything on the site plan for how they get around the building and through what looks like it potentially is a narrow traffic lane.
As a practical matter, the parking spaces in the northeast area will be used for employees, and it's also a good place to park the box trucks, to keep them out of the way and not use spaces that customers might want to use. So that's what I envision. And there might be a couple extra just in case there's a huge overflow. I mean, if we have the space on the site, we don't think we're going to need all this parking. But, you know, if there's space on the site, why not stripe it and have some spaces there?
And as Commissioner Brecklin raised a few minutes ago, I think as part of your master narrative statement, you know, how many of the company box trucks will be on the site, where will they be parked, and are you losing any of the the parking space count for those trucks being in them?
How deep is a normal parking space?
9 by 18.
9 by 18, so an 18-foot truck is 18 feet of box, and then the rest of the truck, right? Or is it all,
I would have to look at the...
So like a regular parking space doesn't safely accommodate an 18-foot
They
truck?
could park in a loading dock.
Right.
Yeah.
Where I'd park, I wouldn't park there. Park in a loading dock.
Or maybe park in the loading dock. I don't know how you use the loading dock then if there's a truck.
I guess, yeah, I was just kind of thinking of that for the narrative is helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll figure that out.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have a question about there are 2 floors to the building, correct?
Yes.
How about the, I think the first floor, the ground level is partially buried and partially it's a partial story. Could you explain if or how that's going to be used for anything? Or if it's all utility?
Can you repeat? I didn't follow.
The first floor or the ground floor?
Lower level?
Lower level, thank you.
Oh, lower level. This level. Yeah. You mean how they are used?
How is that accessed, I think is the question. Through an interior staircase? Is that the only way to get to the ground floor?
Or a freight elevator?
No, not yet. We haven't figured out a location for the freight elevator or a huge dumbwaiter because we need to get approval before we dump into the mechanical system. But there will be a mechanical system to help elevate the inventory to the upper level.
But at this point, you have a staircase, right? That's going to stay.
Yeah, those are existing actually.
Yep.
Can we move forward?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, here are the rendering of the updated property per the latest Freeman's landscape, the new elevation. There is a glass lantern to make this property standing out from the Silas Deane Highway, and at night it will glow. Also, that signifies the main entrance of the building.
Are the trees that you show there exactly the way it's going to look? Is that accurate, that you're planting?
I'm not very sure. This is computer rendering.
Oh,
We don't
okay.
have.
I was going to say, it's a lot of trees, thank you.
Or no electrical poles either, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the pedestrian entrance, and I believe it looks much better than the current condition. And these are the orange/red color aluminum panels, and this is a glass lantern, the glass facade. So it will make this property much more modern looking than its existing condition. And these are the different angles. This is the north point of the property, and the rears and the sides of the building will be cleaned, repaired, and repainted. So most of the money that beautifies the property will be spent on the front facade. And this is when you get closer, this is the door that welcomes the customers. And
So is that a, Ken Foods, is that a lighted sign? What kind of a sign is that? Or is that just white letters?
first, I'm not sure if it's going to be called Ken Foods. This is when we got the job. It will be a newer name, and we're going to follow the Silas Deane Highway signage regulation. So the size, fonts, and glow effect, there are.
Yeah, and I just want to say, we're not, this application doesn't include the signage. We're going to submit a separate application for that
Yeah,
later on.
because that looks a little inappropriate for a regulation. That's why I'm bringing it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. So you're gonna give us your final at some point, right?
Right. Yes, exactly. Any other questions about the...
Kind of like the Ken Foods idea. You should keep it.
I like it too. It's, yeah.
Outside lighting for the parking lot, what are the hours of operations, after hours? You have a schematic for us in the final design,
Yeah, there will be.
the parking
Yeah.
lighting?
I believe it's the civil and, yeah, it's a, yeah, there is a lighting plan.
There is, okay.
Yeah.
If I could just make a, just to know, so I'm looking at, and the town engineer may have picked up on this and I might be missing it, but on this survey, which was done by Close, Benson, and Miller, I noticed that there's no pins or monuments identified as being found. I'm just curious to see if that's I realize the engineer is not here, but I'm curious to know if in fact there are no pins that were found. There is a property boundary survey, but it doesn't identify any monuments or pins. So I'm just curious to know if in fact there are none, and if so, if they're going to be set as part of the reconstruction of the site. Oh, there's one, I'm sorry, there's one pin.
I think we still have the dimensions as reference in the survey. We will confirm that, but I don't think that will cause big difference from the current layout. But
Thank you.
we will definitely to confirm and verify that. That's a good point. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
I don't see any for right now. No, I don't see any other
Okay,
questions.
great. Thank you.
Thank you.
So that's our presentation for tonight.
Thank you. So I think picking up on our exchange earlier, we'll have a motion to close the hearing for this evening, to keep it open and continue it. And I guess, again, I know you have the lead time you need, that you're trying to get things to the town engineer in time. We could continue it. We could announce now that we're continuing it until December 2nd, but with the understanding that if you're not able to get things in time, or if we feel that our December 2nd public hearing schedule is going to be too hectic to give you the time that we want to give you, we could always announce on December 2nd that it's going to be the 16th instead, and we would post it. We could post that on an agenda that gets posted the Friday before. So does that sound like a plan to you?
A great plan.
Okay.
And I appreciate that you have a fairly heavy agenda on the 2nd, so
And
maybe that's biting off more than we all really want to chew, to even shoot for that, but
Yep.
that's a good tentative plan.
Just stay in touch with
Right.
Mr. Elder. And before we stop for tonight, is there anybody in the public who wanted to speak? Yes, sir, please come up, identify yourself. Okay.
Hi, Tom Carson, 12 Avalon Place. I'm just curious, I have one question, and it would be helpful, for me anyway, if it was answered, is I think the Attorney Hoops represented that the business was currently closed to customers, and I just wanted to confirm that that's what he said. And I'm just interested in the current operations of the business, and if he can explain what's going on right now, and whether or not these renovations seem pretty extensive and will take quite a long time, whether or not there will still be commercial activity inside the building during that process. So that's my only question.
Thank you. We'll have him address that. Is there anybody else in the public with a comment? Seeing none, Attorney Hoops, would you please address that?
Yeah, the building is not open to the public. There's product that's being delivered, and if customers want to call or go online and order something, I believe you'll bring it out to them, Ken? Is that still working that way? But the public is not allowed in the building for fire code reasons.
And during, assuming the application is approved during the renovations, are you going to be required to close parts or all of the building to accomplish the construction?
I assume, Ken, would it be safe to assume you're going to try to phase the work so that you can still continue some level of operation?
Okay.
From the architect perspective, it's common to do the job in phases, and that also financially helps my customer to continue. Yeah, but yeah, we'll rigorously follow the fire code, so it's not open to the public.
Just on that, I think that there might be another staff comment that's related to this as well, but whatever that construction phasing plan is would also be useful to have in a narrative form to understand a construction sequence is normally what we would ask for a new site to be developed, but considering this is going to be a significant rehabilitation or a retrofit, what does that look like from start to finish, and how and where is that going to occur?
Okay, would someone like to make a motion to keep the public hearing open and continue it to our December 2nd meeting?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Rich, is there a second?
I'll second.
By Tony. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so 7 o'clock on December 2nd, but Attorney Hoops, if you stay in touch with Mr. Elder, then we'll make adjustments if needed to that date.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Before we move on to the next, just because I think for this application and any large site plan, we're going to receive a number of revisions. In terms of copies, I'm going to suggest that we get 4 full-size complete sets of everything that's been submitted and the rest at 11 by 17, as well as an electronic copy that I will send out in advance. I want to be clear so that I'm not asking the applicant to give me 16 full-size sets that may be revised. Is everyone okay with that? Okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Will you also be clarifying the engineering memos that came through?
I will.
One?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Moving on, other business, there's nothing under that. Minutes of the November 5th. Do we have those?
They should be towards the back, after, in fact, maybe the last item, yes.
Actually, that's the
Second
reg.
to last. Thank you. That's it. No?
Maybe it was in what you sent us.
No, I, actually, here, sorry, I apologize. They're in-
It must have been your email of.
No, they were, sorry, no, they were not.
Has people had a chance to review the minutes and have the minutes, and are we prepared to vote, or do we need to defer that?
I can't vote, I was not there.
I didn't see that.
I didn't see them either. Okay, why don't we skip those
Yeah, let's
until our next
give us a
meeting?
chance to read them.
Okay. Any public comment on issues or items that are not part of our agenda or part of the applications that are pending? Seeing none. Correspondence? None. Staff reports? None. Just applications that have been received that will be scheduled for future meetings. The Mill Woods application is anticipated to be continued at our next meeting on December 2nd.
Could I just ask, will we have the sound report at that time?
I had, as of last Thursday, the consultant doing the work should be done with the analysis by the time of our next meeting, December 2nd, but they said they were going to have to try hard to have the final report. And so I explained that, and this is probably worthwhile to consider, is that December 13th is the very last day that we could hold the public hearing open. And so I explained to the consultant that before we close the public hearing, we need to have all of the information presented so that we can deliberate. And so whatever they have done by December 2nd, if it's not final in terms of data, I'm not too concerned about the sort of the bound report that looks nice. The information is essential. And so I explained that we can't entertain any new information. So if that comes on December 2nd and there is new information, we might want to consider holding a special meeting just to give them an additional week. They said they would need it in a week, or we would have to take action with something less than a final report.
I guess from my perspective, I think it's important that we have a written report that not only we can see, but is available a few days in advance for any interested members of the public to see as well, as opposed to just somebody standing up and speaking. And I know that we are, their fee, I know, covers the report.
What if they wrote out a summary, like a one-page summary and put all...
The executive report.
Yeah, I mean, they're being compensated for a full report, as part of this. So.
That we don't want to lose the project because of
we
being
have
the full one versus the summary.
Well, we have the ability, we could have a special meeting a week later if we needed to.
As of now, they're not saying that they can't make the
Right.
December meeting. They just, I think that they're letting me know that the analysis will be done. It's just a matter of will they be finished in terms of a final report. So I'll have to stay in touch. But I'll put it out there that if we needed to hold it open, we can't hold it open past December 13th. But December 2nd is still the date where
And I would
they
just push
hoping
them,
for it.
I would keep pushing them hard, because you got them under contract already a couple weeks ago, and, see what you can do.
Is it at all possible, I know that maybe not for like a final version, but if there's like a mostly complete draft and there's some changes that get delivered to us, are we able to consider that so that we have some time to read it?
My understanding is that you're allowed to have clarifications on information that was previously introduced, but then, there's a question as to, what's clarification. I hear what you're saying. If they have a summary of the report that is substantially the same as the final report, then as long as it doesn't change, as long as the information has changed, I'm not going to, I don't want to assume or presume what it is.
All we need is a data point to put into the motion passing.
Yeah,
So-
all we need is a data point that will not change.
Right, I understand. That's why
How
I
you get to the
understand.
data point, I don't really care, but we need a data point that we all realize it's good.
I mean, just,
I think I understand the intention, and yes, as long as it is substantially complete and nothing's going to change, and they are willing to give us a document that we can enter into the record and then deliberate on, I think that might meet the requirements.
But their scope of work, is more than just a data point. It is explaining to us how these things work and et cetera, which, it's important that we have them address all of the things that they're required to address and convey that to us, I think.
I don't think that this report is just going to be giving us a number that we set as the thing, because the town has a noise ordinance too. My understanding of the report was that it was to help us understand, can they meet what is our expected threshold? So that when we set it, is that actually a realistic thing?
And they're basically, as I understand it, giving us a sense of what will people experience if it's done. And I think they're also going to speak to potentially to mitigation controls that should be imposed. So I think it's important that we see that whole package.
Just to clarify, I don't think we have a noise ordinance in the park, right? There's no noise ordinance in the
No, that's not going to be, the issue is the nuisance. We wanted to understand the nuisance factor. That was the whole debate.
Right?
Yeah, so,
Because there really is no noise ordinance for a park.
so anyway, we shouldn't really get into the, the details of it at this point, but I just think,
We're going to end up with all of that. Everything we
have-
just
have
said.
them
We're
give
going to end
us
up with a data
everything.
point. We're going to end up with understanding the mitigation. We're going to end up with all of that. And if we need to hold it open, or if we need to take action before the 13th, we will figure that out.
okay.
All right.
All right, and then, what's the next one? Site plan application for 341 Jordan Lane, is that still being
It is.
reviewed?
I believe that they have final wetlands. I believe that they're in front of wetlands tomorrow. And so, that has been received and,
So tentatively, that could also be on December 2nd?
correct.
It's going to be a full agenda.
Yeah, I really think the one we just heard, it may be that the 16th is going to make more sense also to give town staff adequate time to review it. And then this next one that you've got, the 184 Main Street public hearing, bed and breakfast, I guess tentatively right now you've got that as December 16th, but I guess we need to watch how the others go and also make sure that you're comfortable that all the required information required by our regulations has been submitted and addressed.
Yeah, and we can revisit that. I have not, that just came in on Friday morning, so I have not had a chance, no one has had a chance to look at that, so that is to be determined.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
I will just say, I did transmit the plan of conservation development to the town council, and that will start the 65 days until it can be adopted. We would need to move out to at least January 21st, the public hearing on adoption, and I think that we had noted that might be the case when we acted, but I just wanted to let everyone know that we're...
Is a question for you. Is the 21st a Wednesday meeting because of Martin Luther King Day?
I would have to look. I don't know off the top of my head.
Because if that's a Tuesday, then we may be bounced to Wednesday because the council could be meeting on that Tuesday. So we should...
Make sure we have a quorum, yeah.
Make sure we
We could also hold a special meeting just for the plan of conservation development.
Right, well, I guess my think is anything other than a first or third Tuesday, a quorum becomes an issue for sure. So but we should just advise people if that's a Wednesday meeting so they can prepare for it. It is? Okay, so and Wednesday, what, the 21st, Rich? Okay, so everybody please keep that in mind, that the January 21st is a Wednesday because of the holiday. The prior Monday, we get bumped a day. So please mark that on your calendars, everybody. If nothing else, would someone like to make a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn?
Peter, and second. By Anna, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, any opposed?